Thank you for joining me about the Ecuadorian crab, also known as the Cenobita compressus. And hi Darcy, as I already said, I positively have 8. I'm pretty sure I have 10. I have had the 8 since I started crabbing, which was 10 years ago. Um, I recently got one from an adoption about a year and a half ago. Um, it was a really tiny one that somebody was getting rid of. Hi, Mary. And they overnighted it to me, and it's a small one. So basically, I'm going to be going over some of the regular information that you can get about Ecuadorians. Hopefully everybody can hear me and see me okay. I'm experiencing a little bit of a lag on my end. Hi, Carol. Please let me know if you have any issues. Hi, Stacy. So basically, Ecuadorians have several different nicknames. A lot of us call them Ekis. A lot of us call them E's. Isn't it a great necklace? I love it. Um, they're known as Pacific crabs. You can find them in South America. You can find them in Mexico. You can find them in the southern parts of California. And believe it or not, they're actually the second most popular crab that is sold in the pet trade industry, which, okay, sorry, Christine, maybe I'm going a little fast. Um, I know I can be a little bit of a fast talker. So the internet might have a bit of a problem keeping up with me. Also, if anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Um, it probably is my internet connection. Um, but I'm pretty good at being able to keep up with the pace of watching for questions and talking at the same time. Anyways, the Ecuadorian crab is supposedly the second most popular crab in the pet industry trade. However, the funny thing is, Americans have a really hard time finding them. Um, yes, Darcy, you're right. It's the hardest species to find. Down here in Florida, I have noticed that a lot of Petcos carry them, but a lot of the people that are in the um, pet stores that are working, the employees just aren't familiar with the different species of hermit crabs. The one thing that I will definitely say is, in my opinion, there is a big difference of care between an Ecuadorian crab and a purple pincher. And I think that, in my opinion, this makes the Ecuadorians have a little bit of a bad rap for being known as cannibals. I do also have to explain myself. I have lupus and I have Sjogren's syndrome, so you will catch me drinking a lot of water. And my water has chlorophyll in it, which is why it's green. So, Ecuadorians come in several different colors. You will see that juveniles come in blues, greens, sometimes yellows, where the adults come in tan, browns, orange, and sometimes a little hint of a red. And I'll try to pull out my Ecuadorians when I see them again later on. Mary asks, what is my favorite thing about E's? Probably that I think they're the most active and more personable, in my opinion. What advice, Stacy asks, what advice can I give for healthy molting in ease? Several things go for that. Just like with any type of crab, several things go into play. You need the proper calcium, proper protein, and in my opinion, Ecuadorians require a minimum of 10 to 12 inches of substrate. Okay. Yes, Mary, the blue babies are adorable. Big personalities, Mary, you are right. Yes, Darcy. We won't tell anybody that they're our favorite species. Stacy. So yes, I think that after everything that we discussed today, you're going to be on the road to keeping your ease in better shape. Another thing that I will say about Ecuadorians is I don't think that they do very well with overcrowding. Um, Now, I will tell you that the tank behind me has all my original colony in it, and I haven't added any new crabs to it. And so, if technically, if we were going on the crab to gallon ratio, I would be overcrowded. But because they have grown up together, they are tending to get along. We haven't had any issues. And I haven't lost anybody in there. But I believe that Ecuadorians should not be overcrowded. And I think that you should do 1 E per 20 gallons of tank. What other species of crabs do I have? I have strawberries. I have purple pinchers, Ecuadorians, a ruggy, and a brevi. I was trying to think, why am I forgetting what else I have? Now with the Ecuadorians, I only keep purple pinchers. My strawberries, my brevi, and my ruggy are together, and then I have another tank with just purple pinchers in it. Okay. Stacy, how many other crabs do you have in that tank though? And I will definitely help you. So the other thing that I will say is with the Ecuadorians, I think that they need a higher temperature. I keep my temperatures in this tank especially. Um, it does get as high as 88 degrees, and they love it. They're very active. My low is 79, and I don't ever let it get any lower than that. I don't let it get any higher than 88. Um, as you see, it is by a window. Um, I do have one of these temperature control gauges on there, so it won't get any higher than 88. And then all of my heaters shut off. And yes, this tank is the tank that I do get the hottest, and that's because of the ease. Okay. Sorry, I just tossed it on the ground. It's in the package, so it's protected. Yes, Mary's correct. My E's are constantly breeding. I think I've only seen my purple pinchers in this tank breed twice. But yes, my E's are constantly dumping in the saltwater pools. So they're very happy. Exercise is also another thing that is very important. I have 3 wheels in here. These crabs are always walking, especially at night. Um, I would say, hi Amber, I would say 2 or 3 crabs are on each wheel, constantly walking. They love to climb. They love to dig. You can't really see too much. Let's see here. I'm gonna lift this up. You can see my molting space. I actually have about 14 inches there. Is it mostly ease on the wheel? So I have 3 wheels in all my tanks. Everybody's walking the wheels. It's not just my ease, it's everybody. Oh yes, everybody walks. So I typically have on each of my tanks, I like to have like a jungle side and a beach side. But this past time that I cleaned, I threw a layer of Eco Earth on the top. It is Amber. It's unfortunately it's cutting in and out for everybody. My internet connection is a little bad. I'm sorry. But hopefully you can hear me okay. The molting area is the same all the way across. I actually have about 14 inches across. Yes, my audio is probably better than the video. I also do provide each of my crabs with UVB, but I have not brought my lights to the inside of my tank. It doesn't seem to make a difference. But I am using the high output lighting. Let's see here. Diet. Let me get another sip of water. I'm sorry. Do they cluster under the light? No, they don't. So I do have the lighting up high, and I also have the lighting down below. They don't seem to, but the light covers all aspects of the tank. And that's for all 3 of my tanks. I provide a lot of hiding spots for my crabs. Benjamin asks how I do my pools. I have half-gallon Tupperware containers that I do the double bowls, I'm sorry. And I have the air bubblers in there. My crabs love to swim. My Ecuadorians swim in the salt water. My purple pincher was swimming earlier. My straws swim. Yes. Yes, yes, Stacy. These are especially water babies. I really don't see the Ecuadorians in the freshwater at all, though. They're mainly a marine saltwater. Moving on to the that's funny. Benjamin, I'm assuming you're probably using marine saltwater and your freshwater. Are you using bubblers? If you are, yes, perfect. Okay. Are you providing them safe ways to get in and out? Craft mesh, fish decor. Those are all things that you want to do. Sometimes I've noticed they don't like to just fully submerge. So if any of you know Dan, with Cenobita Curiosities, he has some wonderful pictures of his pools where he makes these steps so that they can kind of go in to, oh yes, Ben, your guys are gonna need some time to get used to their new home. But allowing your crabs to go in gradually is sometimes the best way to give them the opportunity to get used to their water. So, sorry, back to the diet. With Ecuadorians, I provide my Ecuadorians with probably a minimum of 5 different proteins a day. That's me. I recommend a minimum of 1 to 2 different proteins daily. I think Ecuadorians can get bored really easily. What I personally do, I know not everybody has the ability to do this. I had my store. It's not open right now because my lupus is active. But what I do is I take all my foods out and I put them on the counter. And then I've got like 20 different containers. Let me show you what I use. I take containers like this. And then what I'll do is I will grind up proteins and I'll go down the line and I'll knock one different kind of protein into each container. And then what I'll do is I'll do my fruits, and then I'll do my seed, and then I'll do, my seaweeds and my vegetables. And then I have a nice variation of diet in each of these cups. And I have about 20 of these cups. And every time I run out of these foods, then I do it again. So that's how I make my foods, my all parts. Okay, maybe that wasn't for me. So this way, my hermit crabs are getting something different to eat every time. I have 20 different kinds of foods that they're getting to eat, and it's all a varied diet. And it makes everybody happy. As far as in my tanks, I always supply varied amounts of calcium. Got my cuttle bone, I have oyster shell, shrimp shell, exoskeleton, lobster exoskeleton, crayfish exoskeleton. Yes, even though my store is not open, I still have to do that for my guys. Just trying to give them varied resources for them to get their calcium. But I think that the goal is to give them, more than one protein a day. The one thing that I have found with my Ecuadorians is that they don't really care for the land animals. My guys like the seafoods, the fish, those types of things. Whereas the purple pinchers do tend to care for the chicken and the bugs. Yes, Darcy. Yes. And they seem to want to come down and explore the food more often. Yes, yes. Yes, that's right, Stacy. Insects can be strewn throughout, dead, dried insects can be strewn throughout, allowing them to forage for things. As you see down here, I put leaf litter on top of my substrate. Not everybody does that, but I do. I love the puzzles, the cubes that Dan and his wife sell. Lots of climbing activities, lots of digging, lots of exercise. Let's see here. Humidity. I do keep my humidity a little high. Yes, there are so many Stacy's. Stacy's mom's got it going on. I get the punch in the throat. My humidity today is at 88. Let's see, we already talked about the substrate minimum. Ecuadorians tend to be smaller crabs. They're typically referred to as the adults get about the size of a golf ball, which is pretty accurate. I do, Jesse. I keep my Ecuadorians with purple pinchers. um, I have found that Ecuadorians do also love to modify their shell, and I don't know if I will be able to get this shot on, if you can really see, but can you see the inside of the shell is hollowed out? A tennis ball, Stacy? Wow, I've never seen one that big. Yep, this is completely hollowed out, and that's a modified shell from an E. And this is another one. No inside. And I have one more. As you can see, there's absolutely nothing in there. Isn't that crazy, Mike? So that's typically why when Ecuadorians take a shell, they spend so much time modifying it. That's why they don't want to switch shells. And it's because, it's taken a lot of energy to get that shell to fit just right. That shell's got to be really good for them to want to move. You're right, Tammy. They do get a little bit sharp. Yes, Christine. You're right. Does anybody have any questions? Well, I am fortunate enough to live about 40 minutes from Daytona Beach. And there is a wonderful shop over there called Big Shark that has very large shells. And I purchased them over there. And then I also purchased my shells from Richard Seashells. I have had my crabs for 10 years. I have not had any, knock on wood, I have not had any issues in my tanks. And I have had my humidity go up to 99, and I don't even have issues with mold. Nice, Abby. Yes, Jean, you're right. I hope I don't get jinxed either, but I knocked on wood, so I think I'm okay. Does anybody have any other questions? Right now, I just see a couple of my purple pinchers out. My favorite shell types? My favorite shell types or the Ecuadorian? favorite shell types. I have 4 straws. So the earliest that my Ecuadorians have bred was the earliest I got Zoe was like the first week of July, and the latest that I had Zoe was October. Sure, Mary. Ecuadorians are definitely independent thinkers. I do have two. My two eldest ones that are hilarious. They stick together. Um, so I have found with the two of them, like they go down the same hole together, they hang out together. If you find one, you find the other one. Um, that's what I was looking for. Before I started this, I had one, but I never hold my crabs, and I pulled him out of the tank, and then he was probably freaking out about that when I put him back and went down his little hole. They, my E's are very meticulous about their little homes, and they dig their little holes in the substrate, and that's where they live. Whereas my purple pinchers, they live in the little coconuts. I don't know if you can see the one there, but I have two that live in that one. My straws are the same way. My straws, they live in their little coconuts. But my Ecuadorians, they live down in the dirt. No, Darcy, I have not. Um, the E's, I see them up in the topper a lot, but when I see them together, they're always on the ground, on the substrate. Yes, Stacy, we do. I did see where these. I bought another pair off of Etsy that I debated wearing today. They're they were the little plastic hermit crabs, but I decided to go with these instead. In my tank, I for sure have 8 Ecuadorians, maybe 10, um, and I have 6 purple pinchers. Okay, so um, I'm going to go to the shells and then I'll talk about the breeding because the shells were asked first, and I did set some of the shells aside. Um, I had done that prior in case that did get asked, and I was supposed to talk about that. So, as far as young Ecuadorians, I would say that their shells differ um, as to what they favor um, more than the older Ecuadorians. I would also say that I feel like I'm putting a lot of my thought into this. I feel like crabs that live in captivity get very spoiled, which they should. I think they get used to having lighter shells. And then once they get used to having lighter shells, they don't want the heavier shells anymore. So a lot of the Ecuadorians, when I first got them, they would have the magpies, or they would have the nerites, which nerites can tend to be a little lighter, like this nerite. This, give it a second to focus. The striped nerites are really light, but this other one, I think it's a nerite. I could be wrong. This one, whatever this one's called, is a lot heavier. Well, and then there's, it's not quite a moon, it's not a moon snail. Let's see if I can, there we go. Block the light so you can see. to the bottom so I can see. So this one is like the apple or the whale eye, and except it's white and it has light brown tan. This one's heavier. And so a lot of the young ones that I got had that. And then once they get into captivity and they're young, they're like this kind. Once again, the light kind of. And they like this kind. Sorry. Yes, thank you. I don't have the names of the the shells. Well, then when they, you know, are in captivity, they love the pearl turbos. And they love these Mexican turbos, I think. Except yours, Stacy. No one ever had to mention this one. This one's a little bit heavier. On this kind. And then I only have one crab that loves this kind. And I think it's like a king crown. It's some type of king crown. And that is all my Ecuadorians like. That's what I picked out of my tons of shells with the 1.75. Well, I am going to measure this right now because I actually have my trusty dusty caliper out. 1.5. Okay, well, I mean, that's not too much bigger. So that's a 1.75 opening. That wouldn't be a tennis ball. That would kind of, so that's not too much bigger than a golf ball. Oh, a turbo. Oh, geez. And that's an Ecuadorian crab? Wow. Maybe in the wild they get a lot bigger. That is a monster. Yes, you would want to get these. I think they're the best. Wow. Um, Carrie, there's lots of great places out there that do shells. I know with Richard shells, if you do buy shells from them, you're supposed to specifically state on there that they're for hermit crabs, and they'll check for holes and cracks. Golly. Well, Stacy, I know that I have lots of turbos that are really large. You haven't, Carrie? What about Megan on Etsy? You know what I don't like about the apple snail shells, Stacy, is they're so thin. And especially like with my toppers. So, if they were to fall, um, my my problem is I have had even my heavy shells kind of crack when they've hit things. you know, because sometimes they can hit the ledges here, the inside of my toppers. They hit the ledge of the, like this is a 100-gallon here, they hit the inside of the ledge, and I would be afraid of the shell cracking. You know, maybe a Murex. You know, I guess when they get larger, they can't be picky. But eels don't seem to mind hanging out. They do get really heavy. I agree. I do agree. So Mary wanted me to talk a little bit about breeding. Um, I'm not really sure what I can say that is much different than, of course, Gary. Um, you know, if there's ever anything that I can try to help you with, you know, we do have several tourist shops in Daytona. If you guys ever have any issues finding a specific shell, especially for exotic breeds, I'm willing to help. Um, well, Mary, I went by what you told me for my megalopa, but my megalopa didn't ever take them. Is that what you're referring to? Um, well, at first I did notice that I felt like there was cannibalization. Oh, okay. Let me grab them then. Hold on one second. I thought I had them in the other room, but I might have them down here. Hold on one second. And if I don't have them down here, then they're in my other drawer, and I know where they are. I'm sorry, one more second. Okay. I've got them. Got them all separated in here by size. You only had 3, Mary? I thought you had more than that. I have them separated by sizes. Gosh, I don't know if this is going to pull up. Kind of looks like almost like a little nerite. Can you see that? That's the one. Hold on, there was a spiral one too. That's in the other bag. Hold on. And it was like these, but they were tinier. I can't find my original bag that has the teeny tiny. I had one bag that said teeny tiny, but I think I have it in my closet with all my other stuff. Yes, I did send you. You know, my husband and I went to the beach like 3 weeks ago, and we went to that same gift shop. And no, only one of those were de-openings. And that same gift shop did not have those bags anymore. So somebody must have gone in and bought them all. I know. I was going to surprise you and buy some. And I asked her, and all they had, I know, all they had were like those kind of shells, but they were like dyed like pink and green. It was a real bummer. But I do have a ton of nerites. Um, and I still have a couple more of those bags. Because remember I kept some because at the time I had Zoe too. Yes, you're right, Stacy, we do. Yes, hopefully, Mary. And now, Mike wants to help too, so that would be great. He's got one of my bowls, so yes, Mike. And hopefully you can keep it so we can get you going too. So Abby, I have never seen my crabs with eggs. I I've never handled my crabs other than you just saw me do that. And when I've had to pick them up from one tank to the other. So, ironically, about 8 years ago, I did see a pile of eggs on the substrate, and I threw them in some marine salt water, and I didn't know anything about it. And I saw them moving and stuff like that, and they died. Well, then, golly, Mary, I don't really remember. I think we first talked about maybe 5 years ago when we were talking about the wheels. And that's when Mary really sparked my interest in it all. And I don't know, one thing just led to another. And I just really uh, started getting more into, you know, my ease exercising and, all of my crabs actually exercising and wanting to just try to recreate as best of an environment for them as I could. And next thing you know, I started finding Zoe in my pools. I did already answer Darcy's question, which was at the top, and I've never seen them mate up top. I've only seen them at the bottom. I agree, Mary. I definitely think the wheels make a huge difference. I think it's that exercise. Abby, saucers do work. In two of my crab attacks, I have two wheels and one saucer. They love the saucers just as well. I would say that the wheels get used more, and my wheels are all modified. It's funny, with the small shells. you don't ever think about how tiny these Zoe are until you go look at the hobby stores and you see the little tiny shells that they offer for hobbies and realize that those are way too big. What proteins do I feed? Graceland, that's a wonderful question. So I was saying earlier with my Ecuadorians, mine personally prefer, because they've told me this, seafoods and fish. So some great examples, whitefish, all sustainably sourced. My father is a fisherman. Um, I do sand crabs, I do lobster, I do shrimp, I do octopus, alligator. I like to do all the things down here that I have access to in Florida. And I dehydrate it all. But I'm happy to read to you everything that I have in my closet. Good Lord, that would take us several hours. But I feed a variety of proteins. Yes, salmon, I do. Crawfish, they love it. And I personally do not like to do fresh foods, not because I think they're bad, but because I live in Florida and we are known for our bugs. And I like to do dehydrated because I think that cuts back on the bugs. Abby, the main thing about shrimp is you definitely want to make sure you cook it before you give it to them. And the exoskeleton for shrimp is wonderful for them. So definitely make sure that you give them that. That's a wonderful food for them. But that's especially something, that they would have access to, on the beach if, something, caught it and brought it up. Graceland, a lot of you guys go to your local grocery store. Don't be afraid to go to the seafood counter if you have that available to you and ask for that one piece of shrimp or a partial piece of fish or one clam or, um, one crawfish if you have that, there at your place, as long as it's not seasoned. Um, I excuse me, I also prefer to not get things that are farmed because you don't know what kind of antibiotics, that they're pumping into places like that. But don't be afraid. And if you feel silly, just say, hey, it's for my hermit crab. Not that you owe anybody an explanation. Yeah, Stacy, you're right. That's why I said I don't do the farmed. All my stuff is local, but not everybody has that. You're welcome, Graceland. And also, guys, don't be afraid to reach out to your local group, Land Hermit Crab Association or, LH they're going to help you on Facebook. If you have an issue on how to, find places in your area, ask another crabber how they get their foods. Go to a local health food store. Um, a lot of those types of stores will have, yes, of course, we're from approved sellers, but not everybody has that kind of money. A local health food store sometimes will have jars like Whole Foods, where you can get just small amounts. You just want to try to go for organic things. I agree, Stacy. But just remember, the crabbing community is a wonderful community, and we're all here to help one another. So don't be afraid to reach out to somebody and ask for help. Mm, I probably wouldn't do that, Carrie, unless you know them. Are there any other questions? Oh, I forgot. Mary wanted me to keep talking about. Was there any other questions about the breeding? So I would find the Zoe in the pools of my crabbitats, and I had purchased these bowls from Michael's, and that's what I was using. Um, Sorry, I'm getting off track here. Humidity. My humidity is up to 88 right now. No, I do not find that my E's molt more than my purple pinchers. I find that they kind of molt the same. Um, so I moved my bowls or my pools. I dumped my pools into the bowls, and I was basically doing my water changes um, every 3 to 4 hours. Um, and it was pretty hectic. I would say that they were pretty active. Kind of going off of memory here, I didn't have too many um, clutches last year. I want to say three, two, maybe three. It was an odd year last year. Um, Typically, I would have about eight. Um, but last year, I didn't have that many, and I was actually very happy that I didn't have very many because my lupus was not very good to me last year. Yes, Stacy, and I've had more than eight. The year before that, I had a lot. Um, just unfortunately, none successful. Um, the furthest that I have ever made it was Megalopa. None of them have made it to land. I can't get my guys to take shells. Not sure what the deal is. I've been following Mary's process, um, and that's why we just can't figure out what the deal is, why E's are so difficult. Yes, it's very frustrating. It's disheartening. I just get so many migraines from this. Staring at a light all the time and picking out babies, and it's it's hard. It's hard on my family too. Um, I don't know the difference between right-handed and left-handed shells. So I'm sorry, Christine. Yeah, Zoe migraines are they are from the Pacific. Uh, it could be. I'm not sure. Um, I was keeping my water. I want to say 78 to 80. And as far as instant ocean, I used the reef crystals, and I was mixing it according to the bag. Yeah, that's the downside is there just isn't any information about the Ecuadorians always. That's funny. Yeah, We just need to get more people involved in it. My family's really frustrated with it. So I don't know. We'll see, Mary. Last year they were very happy when Mike came and picked up the babies. Yeah. Yeah, I think Mike's wife Missy explained it the best when I had it kind of set up in my room here. She said it was like a mad scientist lab. Yes, Stacy, it's like life doesn't stop just because you have Zoe. It's like, I still have my family and four dogs and two cats and I won't say how many hermit crabs I have, and a garden, and indoor plants, and myself to take care of. Oh, minimum, Stacy, minimum a month. Yes, Mary, you're right. It takes too much time from your family. Funny, Kelsey. You turned into a zombie. Yeah, you kind of do. You're right. Yes, you're right. And then that's all you talk about. Plus, like for me, like they would see me go from like I have a hermit crab room, so like everything stayed in here. But then there were times where I would go from here to the kitchen because the lighting was better and I could maybe see the Zoe a little bit better in there. So I would take a jar of water in there, to see, could I maybe see was there any Zoe in there? It's like, ah! And then it's like you're staring into a jar full of just plain light. And I already am a migraine sufferer, so it's like just add that into the mix, and it's like, yeah. And yes, Kelsey, I mean, you are kind of in the same boat. I get it. Thanks, Michael. You too. I'm not sure what the $50 is for, Christine, but yeah, $50 would not even get you started into raising Zoe. Oh, yeah. You're down a rabbit hole when you start getting into crabs. Oh, yeah, $50 for the adoption fee. Yes. That that is a very cheap fee. Definitely. I agree. And I don't understand how she still has 200 left. They should be gone. People want crabs all the time. But see, this is the thing, you know, people don't want them for the right reasons. They want souvenir pets. Yes, Mary. I agree. I'm sure, Stacy. It's really hard, for anybody like myself who lives near the beach. It's like this one place where I go to get my shells. Um, Unfortunately, they sell hermit crabs, but they sell those stupid painted shells. And no matter how many times I go there and I talk to them about the painted shells, they still carry them. But they have a whole store full of beautiful shells. And I can't get them to stop selling hermit crabs. I can't get them to stop selling the painted shells. It's so frustrating. But people just want that cheap tourist pet. I know it's sad. So sad. That's where I got, I'm sure you've seen Michael's Goliath. That's where I got Goliath. You're right, Mary. Yes, Kelsey, you're right. Hopefully Crab Street Station. Totally agree. Well, let me see if any of my the purple pincher. Nope, I only see purple pinchers out. Sometimes I get one that hangs out back here. Let me see. Sometimes. Watch, I'll get pinched on camera. Yep, I do. I have one that sits in that one coconut. This is that young one that I adopted. See if it comes out. You're welcome. Like I said, I never hold them, so it'll probably take a few minutes to come out. Super fast. Yep. Right onto my computer. Let's see how tiny. All my other ones are so big. Thank you. It's a hermit crab. Ah! Unless maybe you were talking about my wedding ring. Thank you. All right. Put them back in this little coconut. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I see right now. I can spin you around so you can see my others. See, that's my other purple pincher tank. And they're all kind of all up. And then over here is my strawberry tank with my brevy and my ruggy. There's one crab in my tank that I can just not figure out what species it's in. Kristen, I'm sure that if you took a picture of him and put him on Facebook, somebody would be able to identify your crab for you. And then, of course, you know, there's lots of pictures on website. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not sure if you guys have seen Chola Queen's, or actually she's bioactive FX now. She's got some great pieces of Chola for sale. I don't know if you guys can see one of my straws hiding up there. And actually, and then my other two straws are down here. Let's see where my brubby is. Yeah. Here, let me unhook this and I'll take it over. They're kind of in the back there. There's those. There's one in the coconut hut. Oh, there's my brother. No, my store was the Healthy Hermit. Actually, my store is the Healthy Hermit. Lots of Stacy's. It's a popular name. Are there any other questions? Oh, that's what I was going to show you guys was the other earrings. Not pertaining to the eaves, but you guys got to see these. Somebody painted these. I got these off of Etsy too. Aren't those cute? So they're those little plastic hermit crabs, and she painted them and made them into earrings. And I got them off of Etsy. So they look like little strawberry crabs. Okay, you are very welcome. Yes, I have several. Okay, you are very welcome, Mary. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Stacy. Yes, Carrie. Sure. And Stacy, you can contact me anytime. I'm more than willing to help any of you guys with these. Yes, Christine, I remember. My pleasure. Bye, Amanda. Does anybody have any more questions? All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and close out then. Thanks, Jean. You guys have a wonderful. You're welcome. My pleasure.